Alright everyone, Cowboy Trades here, welcome back to the channel for another update on Solana. So what is happening right now, Solana is down 16% following some news articles that we'll dive into in just one moment. While everyone is panicking about this major move to the downside, we're sitting comfy because we predicted this in our last video for Solana. And while everyone is freaking out about the price action, we're finally going to be setting up our first buy orders for Solana. So stay tuned for that. Let's dive right into today's video. Let's start off with the news. Now, first of all, what has been happening for Solana? Well, you may have heard in the news recently, the SEC's come out with lawsuits against Binance, against Coinbase, and within their lawsuits against Binance and Coinbase, they named a bunch of different cryptocurrencies, specifically altcoins, in which they deem are securities, and Solana was one of them. So basically, the SEC came out and said, hey, Solana's a security, and then Robinhood has come out and delisted a bunch of these cryptocurrencies which the SEC has come out and deemed as unregistered securities. This is really why we're seeing this major move to the downside in the markets right now. If we come over to the daily time frame, you can see this all kind of started to happen round about Monday, and what happened on Monday? That is when we got our first lawsuit from the SEC. Over on Tuesday, we got our second lawsuit from the SEC, and in the past 24 hours, we've had Robinhood delist Solana, and this is exactly why we are in this parabolic landslide to the downside right now. So is this the time to look at the 4-hour time frame, the 1-hour time frame, and look at, lower time frame chart patterns? In my opinion, no. We're going to look at the higher time frames and we're going to keep things short and sweet. And the main reason for that is because we are trading in an area with absolutely no liquidity right now. Now, what happens when you have these huge bearish engulfing candles in the market? Well, you'd be a fool to look on the 4-hour time frame and start drawing technical analysis patterns. When you're coming over to these illiquid zones in the market, this is when you have these brutal knee-jerk reactions, and this is really where you need to look at the macro price target. So starting off on the weekly time frame, like we talked about in our last video about a week or two ago, when we were coming to the apex of this half diamond top formation, we gave you the price target, and the price target, I believe, has pretty much been hit on the head. If not, then it's very close. The price target of this is down at $12.50, and we came down to about $12.80. So this has pretty much been hit on the head. You could probably draw it slightly differently, so it has already been hit. But nonetheless, in the macro, we have come down, and like we said in our last video, the reason why we were trading around about $20 for so long is because we were in this huge cluster of volume in the markets. And we said, what happens when you fall into these red boxes? Well, to the upside, you blast through these resistance zones. To the downside, you absolutely melt through them. So this type of move is exactly what we were expecting, and we have come down to the actual last line in the sand for Solana in terms of the volume in the market. Now, if we're coming over to something like the daily time frame, just to look at where the lows were and to draw a Fibonacci from swing low to swing high, this is really the only objective of looking at the daily for me right now. You can see that we have fallen beneath the 618 Fibonacci, and yes, you can say, if you're a Fibonacci guru, as long as we hold above the 786 at $11.74, then you may remain bullish. But the problem with that is, around this $11 region, we have spent absolutely no time trading. You can see this is where we fall into this red box, where there's basically no liquidity in the market. So in my opinion, I wouldn't really be focusing on a 786 Fibonacci. What I'd be looking at on the weekly time frame is for Solana to hold $13.22. If we fall and start closing daily and weekly candles beneath $13.22, we are once again going to be in an area with absolutely no liquidity in the markets. And when we came down to this area previously, this is where we found new bear market lows. You can actually see the first time that we came breaking down to this $13 region was following the FTX event, and what do you know, we found support on this volume cluster. So this volume cluster that we've already bounced from on the daily time frame, I mean, look at this. This is absolutely picture perfect. These boxes that we've drawn have held up very well. We've come down to this area of volume and we've bounced back up to the top. So this, to me, right now is clearly an area of support. And don't take my words out of context. Just because it's an area of support right now doesn't mean it's going to be an area of support by the time I post this video or in 24 hours. We're really waiting. In my opinion, if you've been watching the channel, you know what I think. I think we break lower. I think we go down to new bear market lows, and I'll talk about where I'll be buying in a second. But at least in the immediate short term, if Solana holds above $13.22, that is an area of support. Now, in my opinion, I think we break beneath this, and I think we quickly return back down to new bear market lows. And there's a few reasons why I think that. Number one, we're setting up tons of bearish patterns right now. We've just broken down from an area with lots of volume in the market. You can clearly see that we've got a beautiful bar pattern right here. Maybe it's a lot more beautiful over on the daily time frame. You can see right here, parabolic run to the upside, spiky top consolidation, and parabolic run to the downside. You know, these bar patterns play out more often than not, and when they start playing out like this, you can expect a little bit of support in this region for the next few days, maybe before we break down, but the price target of this is down at, you know, the previous bear market lows at $8, at which point we're basically in an area with no liquidity. We might as well go back down for new bear market lows at that point. Now, as you can see, we're clearly in a bearish trend right now. We're breaking negatively to the downside. If we come over to our oscillators right now, you may be interested to know over on the weekly time frame, the stochastic RSI average is round about 30. Now, in previous instances where Solana has found a local bottom, it's pretty much always found it when the stochastic RSI comes down and hits 0. In this instance, this was the lowest that Solana ever bottomed on the stochastic RSI, and it was at 4.75, basically at 5. This is when we found a bottom after the FTX collapse. So in all instances, we bottom at pretty much 0, 0. Over here, we bottomed at 5. Right now, the average of these moving averages is around about 30. Even the orange moving average here is at 27.7. So I find it highly unlikely that we're just going to, you know, find support here and just start, you know, breaking up into a new bull run. In my opinion, this is just a small pit stop while we are finding a small area of volume over on the volume profiles before we break lower. In terms of the MFI right now, look at where we are. The money flow index is all the way up at 47. This is telling us that in terms of this oscillator, in terms of the money that can flow out of the market, we've got a lot of potential room to move to the downside. The money flow index has just been moving up aggressively against the price action, and what you can actually see is this. We've got highs over in the MFI, we've got higher highs followed by higher highs, followed by a double top. What have you got in the price action? You've got highs, lower highs, lower highs, lower highs, lower highs, parabolic breakdown. So what's happening in the charts right now is pretty much soon going to play out in the oscillators, in my opinion. But what you can see is this is a classic case of hidden bearish divergence. Once again, where the price action is making lower highs and the oscillator is making higher highs. On the weekly time frame as well, this is a very, very strong signal. And, you know, pairing this with the analysis, pairing this with the fact that we've got bearish news, black swan events happening in the market, I don't find it unlikely that we're going to break down to lower price targets. Now, before we talk about my price targets, I just want to update two more charts and then we'll dive into this. So first of all, in terms of the Fibonacci's, we've already briefly discussed this in the video. In our last video about 2 weeks ago, we were predicting a 29% drop for Solana, and as you can see, we completely overshot that, breaking down 40% following our prediction. Now, what I really want to highlight in this chart is, like I said, I'm going to be ignoring the 786 Fibonacci. I think by the time that you come down to this level, which we pretty much already did, it's very, very clear that this is developing as a classic case of a typical BART pattern. So by the time you break through the 786 Fibonacci, by the time you come down to the 786 Fibonacci, there's no volume down here. There's no real reason that I think that we should be having a bounce. It's not backed up by anything else. In fact, if you're pulling up things like EMA ribbons, you can clearly see that we've just had a brutal retest of the EMAs, left orientated, or sorry, should I say right orientated VPVR. You can see, you know, we're just losing this major cluster of volume right now, and we're breaking down to the downside. If we pull up bull market support bands, we're losing this. There is literally no support to the downside right now, apart from, you know, this box that I've highlighted here at $13.27. So one other take on this, one other price target that you don't really want to close beneath on the daily or the weekly time frame is this 618 Fibonacci. This is planted basically right at $15.05. My point is, if you start closing daily candles beneath $15, it's probably likely that you're going to lollygag around here and break down lower, and at which point you will be coming right back down to the bottom of this volume profile again. And like I said at the start of the video, if you see yourself slipping beneath $13.20, really, you know, today when we broke down on this massive drop, we came down to $12.82. I think if we take out that low, it is over for Solana, and we will be coming down to the price targets that I'll mention in just 1 second. Now, in terms of Sol BTC, what have we been telling you on the channel for all these altcoins? These alt BTC pairs are leading indicators for their USD pairs, meaning if Solana is breaking down against Bitcoin for weeks and weeks and weeks like we've been highlighting in this chart, then the US dollar chart that looks like this, which hasn't quite caught up with this parabolic landslide to the downside, is soon going to catch up. And now, as you can see on the weekly time frame, we're printing this brutal candle that looks like we're roundabout here. Now, Sol BTC has broken down. In our last video, we're predicting a 33% drop. We broke down 31.5%, and we're literally right down at these bear market lows. In fact, we were only approximately about 2% away from Solana making new bear market lows against its Bitcoin pair. So in terms of where we could drop to against Bitcoin, my next prediction for a drop isn't actually too bad. I think it's likely we could find a little bit of support around about this previous high. Obviously, we have had a little bit of a bounce today, so this would be meaning from where the price is at this time of recording, about a 34% drop against its Bitcoin pair. Now, where do I think Solana is moving to in the bear market, and where are my DCA price targets? Well, to keep things nice and simple, we have psychological price targets down here at $5. We've got touch points on these previous all-time highs down here at $5.13. And also, I think this $5 price target would nicely line up with about just underneath a 99% drop from its previous all-time high. Now, people have been calling me crazy on Solana when I've been predicting for, $5. People have been saying, it's going to take another black swan event for Solana to lose $20. There's no way that we're just going to come back down to these lower price targets, and I think we're soon going to see that is absolutely the case. I've lived through the 2017-2018 bear market, and I can tell you that on average, most of the altcoins, even if their blue chips get absolutely annihilated, maybe blue chips break down, 98%, maybe the rest of the altcoins break down 99%, most of the altcoins literally lose about 99% of their value. That is the base case for surviving a bear market. So, in my opinion, this is why I was saying, I don't really think $8 is the bottom. I think we come down to around about $5. And where do you think I'm going to be buying? $5 on the dot. Now, we have been saying on the channel how, at least in terms of the volume profiles, which is really the most important, the support in the market doesn't really come down to about $4.50. However, I think having some slight DCA orders round about this $5 mark is going to be okay for me. I'm not going to be aping in right now. I am leaving myself the opportunity to buy at lower price targets. But as someone who does want to participate in the Solana ecosystem, as someone who enjoys the Solana NFT ecosystem and may find themselves buying back some of their NFT projects at, 95% discounts or so, I think starting to nibble Solana and getting some buy orders down at $5 is really what's going to work for my trading strategy. Now, do bear in mind, this is not financial advice. I'm not telling you where to place your buy orders. I'm not telling you to follow what I'm doing. I'm just letting you know this is what I'm thinking about the markets. This is where I think we're going down to next. We've been highlighting things like this WXY any free structure in terms of the macro, and clearly we are in that final A, B, C correction. I mean, it's pretty black and white. We've been seeing these ABCs. We're coming down to the final wave Y. This is very clearly a brutal breakdown to wave A. We had that brutal break up to wave B, making a lower high from wave C. And what do you know? We're in a parabolic landslide coming down for wave C, just like we've been talking about on the channel. So that's all I've got for this video, my friends. If you did enjoy the content, make sure to leave a like and a comment down below, share the videos with your friends. If you want to further support the channel, feel free to click the join button and become a member today. Follow me over on Twitter at 618_Cowboy. It's been your boy Cowboy Trades. I'm out. Peace.